Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to the Friday the 19th or 18th, rather. Hey, tomorrow's Shred Day. Don't forget that. We are sponsoring our community annual Shred event downtown on the corner of Mango and East Center Street from 10 a.m. to 2. Come on down and get your stuff shredded. Looking forward to seeing everybody then and there. Hey, we got more to talk about. Yesterday was not much of a day. Future's looking a little green this morning. We'll talk about that and more when Dave joins us here in just a few seconds. But let's not forget that in this world we live in, there are so many things that are out of our control. I want you to know that you can take control of your investment portfolio by knowing the amount of risk you have in that portfolio versus the amount of risk you should have based on your current circumstances. Give me a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. Hey, with that, we got Dave coming up next.
It is them pretenders there. We're at 8:42 now, 18 before 9. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. So, there. All that said, stop, check in and see what's happening to your money today on Wall Street. And yes, we got him back on the phone. Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services is here. Nice, nippy start to the morning, Phillip, and it's going to be a nice one tomorrow for Shred Day, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Nice fall weather. That's why we moved it to October because it's so much nicer than when we used to do it in May.
Yeah, I've noticed all of us smell a lot better when it's over when we do it in October. Kind of helps a little bit. Yeah, there's a million things going on downtown tomorrow, so no matter what you're planning on going to for your final destination, load up the trunk with a bunch of information, and we'll make it disappear with an industrial quality bonded shredder starting at 10 downtown tomorrow. We're here to talk about the markets, and yesterday was a pretty darn good day. The Dow was up to a new record. Let's see here. Get back onto my current page. Finished up the day at 43,239, up 161 points. Standard & Poor's was basically flat. It lost 1 point yesterday. NASDAQ was up 6.5. I keep getting into this with people that I don't necessarily agree with politically. That 43,000 Dow really sounds good until you consider the 20% inflation over the last few years. That really makes the buying power, if you were able to actually buy the Dow, closer to a 35,000 Dow, which means, okay, we've kept pace with inflation. That's good news, but if you allow for inflation, we're pretty much back where we were at the beginning of this whole run-up of inflation, right?
Well, that's right. And that's why, I mean, we look at using the stock market is because hopefully it's going to help. I mean, that's our goal, right? Is for it to help keep up with inflation with the stock prices. And obviously that's kind of what the Dow's done here.
Pretty much. It's been barely kept up with inflation because we were about at 35 4 years ago. So, okay, fine. We did what we were supposed to do and we're okay. But folks that are saying, hey, wow, everything's going gangbusters. No, the economy is okay, but the economy is not exactly in boom times either. So, you always keep that in the back of your hat. Start out the morning with some new government data dump information. You got the raw numbers. I've got the percentage numbers, but housing starts were expected to decline this month by 0.9%. Government said they only declined by 0.5%, so we did better than expected. That should help the market a little bit happier, shouldn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess they came in as expected in terms of overall for the year. You know, they always look at it as annual. They make it an annual number. And so the expectations is 1.35 million. That's down a tad from August number of 1.36 million. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's what they expected. So I don't suspect it really had much impact when we talk about the futures.
That's right. And when we end up comparing these numbers, I end up getting quote unquote seasonally adjusted numbers, and you've got the absolute raw numbers as to what really is happening. So I have a tendency to fall more on your side of the fence than I do the data dump that I get out of the government, don't you?
Well, yeah, they do make a little bit of an adjustment there.
Just a wee bit. Now, I talked about how S&P and NASDAQ were pretty much conservative yesterday. I mean, the S&P was basically flat. NASDAQ was up by only 6.5. Well, it's going to change a little bit when we talk about the futures because guess who reported after the close last night? Our dear friends at Netflix. And all of a sudden, they're looking like a golden child again, aren't they?
Netflix really is. I mean, I was digging down a little bit into an article I was reading, and they had a good quarter. They earned $5.40 a share. Expected was $5.12. So they beat pretty well there. They beat on revenue as well. I was reading down through this report, and Netflix makes up 25% of the streaming volume
Oh.
that goes through.
I saw a tidbit that said it was beating the pants off of Disney and the other streamers. I didn't know it was that big a margin, though.
Yeah. So they have that big of a margin there. I was trying to figure out. Oh, here it is. The number of subscribers they added this last quarter was 5.1 million. The expectations was 4.5 million, so they beat there. That brings their total. Get this number. Total subscribers, 282.7 million people subscribe to Netflix.
Boy, that little policy change they had of you can't steal your neighbor's Netflix password anymore kind of helped, didn't it?
Well, I think that plus, Dave, they lowered the price tier for those that are willing to endure advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got those people. So then they've got people paying to subscribe, and then they're also getting ad dollars coming in as well. So that's helping them. So you've got Netflix up 6.6% this morning.
There's kind of a critical mass thing where it becomes almost something that you assume everybody has. So you say, "Hey, did you see blah blah woof woof last night?" It's the Netflix show that's currently hot at the moment, and it kind of becomes an assumptive thing. Well, of course you got Netflix, everybody does, and once that hits, you've hit a critical mass thing where it almost becomes part of the standard. Rather like broadband internet. They used to be the luxury product instead of dial-up. Now it's just assumed that you've got broadband internet. Now it's starting to approach the level where they just assume you've got Netflix. So of course you saw whatever the hot show is, and that's good news for the company. If they're up at 2.5 million subscribers, they're rapidly approaching that critical mass element, aren't they?
Yes, sir. They really are. And so like I said, they had a good quarter. All of the outside rating agencies that come out and analyze stocks, they're all positive on Netflix right now. It seems to be.
I gotcha.
So that's
I
good.
understand chip stocks as an entire category ended up having a pretty good day yesterday. We had that fright earlier in the week when one of the European AI chip makers said they'd only sold about half the unit counts that they expected. Well, it kind of turned around with a couple of other manufacturers saying things weren't really looking all that bad. How else are we doing on the earnings season now?
So we've got some interesting things coming out. Let's look at some financials because they were a
Yeah.
little bit interesting. So we had American Express reported, um, and they fell a little short
Ooh.
on their revenue number. Earnings were a little ahead of expectations, but that had them trading down about 2% right now. And then we flip over to Ally Bank, the digital bank that's online. Um, Kind of an issue there with them. They beat by a little bit on revenue, pretty substantially in earnings. So there must be something in the somewhere in the report that's talking about future earnings and interest rates because they're trading down about 0.5% this morning.
Hmm. Intriguing. I do note that the mortgage rates are heading back up again. I mean, it's 6.44% for a 30-year fixed loan. So anybody doing credit starting to experience some increase in mortgage rates that I don't think anybody expected off the Fed's moves.
Yeah, I was noticing that this morning that the 30-year was back up to 4.4%. Hey, we had one other bank report.
Yeah.
Western Alliance Bank Corp, one of the regional stocks out there, um, they beat on their top line revenue number, but their net interest income fell 3% for this last quarter. And investors didn't like that. They're trading down 5.25% this morning.
Youch.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
something. Yeah. One
I was
more.
just gonna say, I know we got to go, but we were talking about CVS Health the other day,
Yeah.
and so they nothing for earnings. They made some adjustments in their earnings, but they replaced their CEO with one of the other executives. It's got CVS down 9.3% this morning.
Geez, I thought maybe bringing a drugstore guy in as the CEO might help them. Core competency and all that garbage. Setting the table, it was a really good day for the blue chips yesterday. Not a bad one for the more adventurous issues, but the blue chips were kind of the star yesterday. 45 minutes before we open this morning, what are we looking at?
Dave, as we have seen the Dow continue to hit highs, they're backing off a little bit this morning, not by much, but a little less than 1/10%. The S&P 500 is up 1/3%. The Nasdaq 100 is up a little over 0.6% this morning before the market gets trading. On the other side, we've got silver making a big jump this morning, up a little over 2% to $32.43 an ounce. Gold up 0.75%, $2,727 an ounce. Crude oil down 1/3 to $70.41 a barrel, which is roughly where it was yesterday.
Okay, we'll take that happily. If it stays stable, I'll be happy with that. Overseas markets, somebody put in a buy order in Beijing because the Chinese mainland markets were up 2.5% to 3%. One of them was up even 4.7% overnight last night without a lot more reason for it happening. That dragged the rest of the Asian rim up, so they were in the green. Europe is pretty much green as well this morning, although not as excited as Asia was. Overall, the European index is about 0.2% to the good halfway through their trading day. We want to get your retirement on track so that you can look at us and listen to us in the morning and say, oh, that's interesting, instead of going into a panic. That takes a plan. How do I find you to get a plan for my retirement?
Dave, that's why I developed the core retirement design to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of. And they can give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule their core retirement analysis. And then don't forget, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we have shred day from 10 to 2. Bring your stuff out and get it shredded. And then catch us on the radio tomorrow too, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And we will see you here. Well, we'll see you here on Monday morning, but I'll also talk to you tomorrow morning about 10 because I'm going to be down there helping out. I look forward to it, sir.
All right, man. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Be well. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope I'll see you tomorrow at Shred Day. If not, join us again next week, same time, same place. Have a great one. Talk to you soon. Bye.